All right. Welcome, Jason, to Essential Stories. It's so good to have you.
Thank you, Carrie, so much for having me. I've been so excited about this.
Yeah, this is going to be lots of fun. Jason and I have known each other for a long time, which
A long time.
always makes these conversations more fun. We love to start the show playing a little game. You up for that?
Always am, always am. Just hit me.
Okay, here we go. Would you rather be stuck in a romantic comedy with your worst enemy or in a horror movie with your best friend?
I would have to say a horror movie with my best friend. I try to avoid the rom-coms even at the best time. So
Fair enough, fair enough. All right. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or talk to animals?
oh,
I guess
speak every
speak
language.
animal languages. Yeah.
Yeah, no, every language in the world. I love to travel, so that would be super helpful. Most people think I already do, but I definitely do not.
Okay. What's the next country on your bucket list?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good. I want to do a Caribbean something next.
Oh,
That's
cool.
I
Okay.
need to be able to sit on the beach. I want to do a little scuba diving. So yeah, the
Nice.
Caribbean is definitely next. Yeah, it's definitely the next trip. Have to plan it though.
All right. I like that. Here's a food one.
Oh.
um, would you rather have a knife when you needed a spoon or a spoon when you needed a knife?
Well, I would rather have a spoon when I need a knife because I hardly use knives. I always use either the edge of my fork.
Okay.
So that's usually how I eat anyway. I do put a knife next to it, but I usually never use it anyway. So knives are sometimes inconsequential. So
I love that. I just learned the other day that you should cut an omelet with the side of your fork, not a knife, because that's considered polite. I was like, oh,
oh, well, I didn't realize I was polite, but
there
that's
you are. You're
yes.
following great French etiquette.
Uh, perfect. Oui, oui.
Wait. Oh, this is so funny. Would you rather have two long front teeth like a beaver or no teeth at all?
Oh, that's it. You know what? As I had the two really long, but two really big buck teeth. So I'm gonna go with no teeth at all because it was not fun with the two big front teeth.
Scarred for life, I swear.
Scarred for life.
So
Absolutely.
true. Oh my gosh. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Would you rather have to use a shrimp flavored toothpaste
Okay.
or deodorant that smells like cheese?
Oh, I would have to say the shrimp toothpaste because when I need deodorant, I usually stink pretty bad already. And so the extra cheese would really not work too well. So I would say the shrimp flavored toothpaste for sure.
Okay. So funny. All right, last one. No, that one's weird. I'm not doing that one.
Now I want to hear it. Go ahead. Yes.
You want this one? Okay.
Go.
I'm gonna be
Yes.
okay. Would you rather have a head the size of a small grapefruit or the size of a giant watermelon?
I
I told you
would
it was weird.
I would have to say giant watermelon. I would have to say
Big head.
I would rather have a big head. Yes.
All right. Well, we know you don't have a big head, but you do have a big heart, and you are, one of the most generous, loving, amazing human beings I've ever met. And I'm excited for people to get a glimpse of who you are during this podcast, and more importantly, for them to hear your story. So I want you to think back. What was the earliest memory that you have? Could be all the way back to your childhood if you can go back that far, or if it goes back that far, of experiencing an essential oil.
Yeah, so the one it definitely wasn't from my childhood because I grew up with a very like Western allopathic medicine. Like you went to the doctor when you were sick and you took what they gave you and you didn't question it. So the
Right.
fact that I actually am at this point right now is quite remarkable. So the first one that I will absolutely like solidify to me that essential oils are the bomb was that I cut my finger I don't remember actually how I cut it, but
Okay.
like I was bleeding like all over the place. And then I bandaged it to try to get it to stop. And then like once it stopped, I put a little lavender on it. And I swear to God, it looked like the cells like were starting to like join together. And within a few days that deep cut was completely gone. And I was like, what is this voodoo magic stuff
Right.
because it looked like the cells just started to come together almost within 10 or 15 seconds. Now, I don't know if it was my own imagination,
Right.
but that lavender on the cut was like a holy cow moment for me. For
That's
sure.
amazing. So,
Yep.
did you have the lavender in your house already, or?
Yeah, I did, yes, because the person that introduced me to essential oils like actually brought me in from the business end of it, so
Oh, okay.
not from the product end of it. So,
Oh, right.
yeah, I don't. Do you want me to tell that
Yeah,
story a little?
sure. I mean, it's
Right.
just interesting for people to know like how people end up, using essential oils, sharing them, and then of course building businesses around them is kind of an amazing
Yeah.
thing.
Well, and going back to like people are afraid to share the business opportunity. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be in the essential oil world if the person didn't introduce it from the business end first. So,
Okay.
right, like, and so people are, oh, I don't want to talk about the business part of it, but I wouldn't be here if that were the case because my wife and I had a yoga studio, and I'll give a shout out to Jan Jeremias. Whoop, whoop. She used to teach yoga at our studio, and she was talking about the essential oils and with some of the students, and I was like, hey, what's that? And so then we sat down and had a meeting about the essential oils. We had some health, things that we wanted resolutions to. So
Yeah.
and so it fit like so perfectly. It fit in perfectly with, all right, we have a studio where we can use it to sell the oils, and then we have some products to help with some of the health things that we had going on.
That's incredible. And how did your students like respond to this new modality being shared
They
with them?
mixed. They mixed. It was definitely
Okay.
mixed. I thought like, oh, yoga students, they'll have like, oh, they'll be so
Right.
taken
Yeah.
by it.
That's going to be a home run because yoga
Yeah,
and
it
oils
was
go
like a
together, right?
50-50.
Yeah.
Some
I hear
people
that all the time.
absolutely loved it. And then some people were like, what is this voodoo magic? Not for me. So I was like, all right, we
Right.
had to find that balance of
Yeah.
having it and but letting people kind of experience it for themselves. So yeah.
Oh, and I think that's true. Like you can't make assumptions about groups of people,
Right.
right? In the other direction too. Like, I interviewed a banker that Elena Jordan, and she was also
Yeah.
introduced to this actually from the health side, but then soon was interested in the business side of it because of her background. But like if somebody had said to me, "Do you think bankers are a good group of people to talk to oils about?" I would have been like, "No, bad idea, right? Yoga people, great idea." But here she
But
was more excited than it sounds like some of your students. So you
you,
just
you,
never, you
but
can't
and that and I
make
think
those.
I definitely think that goes back to the don't judge, like don't put judgments on any group of people, especially about who to share it to, right? Like we think that, oh, this group will be great and this won't. You never know. And you don't
Right.
know what challenges people are dealing with and what level. Sometimes people are just on that edge and they needed that leverage to get them involved. And you may be talking to them right at that moment where they're ready to change what they're doing.
100%. And people hate stereotypes. So
Yeah.
like why do we put them in our sharing? Why do we put them in our head at all, even in this world, right? So just get rid of your stereotypes and
Yep.
move on.
Exactly.
So you were using the oils, it was helping your business. It sounds like you had a good relationship with, Jan
Mhm.
and the other yoga instructors, and everything was going great. So how did doTERRA enter the picture?
Well, right. So we were with another company prior to dōTERRA.
Right.
Uh, and then like we were so connected, built the community, not just with Jan, but with Denise and with you and with Fred. And like I was starting to question the quality of the other company. And there were some things that were happening that I was a little weirded out by it was sort of felt to me moving a little bit to the religious end and away from the science end a bit. And so I had some questions, and then I spoke with Fred, and Fred was just like, okay, here's the deal. And he just kind of broke it down. He said, we're thinking of moving to a different company. And so I was like, okay, like I knew you had done all your due diligence. You always do your due diligence.
Yeah, that's
so
my thing. Yeah.
No
Kick
doubt. I
tires.
said,
I got to kick the tires and kick them again.
well, and I asked Fred, I said, Fred, is Carrie on board with this? He's like, yes, absolutely. And then we came over to your house and we met Nick Kilpack.
Yep.
And I immediately fell in love with Nick. How can you not,
so
right? He's such an amazing guy. And
check out the Essential Stories episode with Nick Kilpack if you haven't watched that one. It's so much fun.
He's absolutely amazing. He like completely, I completely connected with him on many levels. I kind of feel like he's like a brother that I never had because he's got that kind of personality. We have a couple of really crazy videos together over the years.
They're amazing. Yeah, I hope those are still up. You should check them.
I'm sure they are. Well, I'll find those and we'll put them in the notes.
Put the links in the description. Yeah, if you want to contact Jason, by the way, all of this good contact information is in the description of this video.
And so we were over your house, and I think it was one of the products that like really blew my mind.
Yeah, what was your wow moment?
So there are two. There's one was the deep blue. And they only had the deep blue rub at the time, and oil. But being a yoga instructor, right, like, and being very active and exercising a lot, deep blue helps kept my muscles. I remember putting it on my shoulders and the back of my neck and feeling it like 7 or 8 hours later, and I was like, oh, this is like I could still feel that warmth. Like, I was like, wow, that's like pretty powerful. And the other company didn't have any products that were anything like this, like that. The other product that really stood out, and this is going to sound bizarre, but was the shampoo and conditioner.
Wow.
I have, and I'll keep compliant, I had a flaky scalp.
Okay.
Since I was in high school. It was actually embarrassing. I would not be able to wear this shirt if it weren't for that, because it would be like white and flaky all on my shoulders. I was a little embarrassed by it for sure. I've tried everything to get rid of it. I tried tar stuff and like all the nasty chemicals that they had in shoulders, anything that had like anti-flake. I would try, and nothing worked. And then as soon as I started using the shampoo and conditioner, the flaking went away. 100%. Every time I would maybe go on vacation, I'd be like, no, I don't need to take the shampoo and conditioner. Flaking would come back. I'd come back home. I'd use the shampoo and conditioner. Gone. So, and I was concerned when dōTERRA changed their formula not too long ago. Not a problem. I use
I was like holding my breath, like waiting for you to say something.
Right now I use the bar shampoo and the bar conditioner, and it works great. And I actually use the body butter as my hair gel.
Oh.
Just a little dab of the body butter. I rub it in, and it gives you a nice little shine, right? It holds it in place.
Your hair looks great. You got a haircut? It's amazing. You look great.
Well, actually, I actually was supposed to get a haircut today, but what happens is that's how well the body butter works. It holds everything down.
Holds everything down. Yeah, it looks like you just like came fresh out of the barber, honestly.
No. This is the body butter.
That's the body butter. I love that. That's great. We're gonna take a little sidestep away from oils just for a second, because before we got the video recording, you and I had this really fun conversation, which I'm sure could have gone on for hours. We had to do this show. But you were telling me about your belief system when it comes to the integrity of a company. And it impressed me so much. I don't know if I'd ever heard you articulate it that way, But can you share with the audience, like, how important it is for you to be aligned with a company of integrity?
Yeah, absolutely. So even like if you look at my Clifton Strengths Assessment, like my number 5 in the strength in my number 5 position is responsibility.
Okay.
And they say that like number 5 is like your like power strength. And with responsibility, the company that any company that I would affiliate with has to do things in a very transparent, very ethical, very you know, just have a lot of integrity, high integrity. That's the word I was looking for. And so if a company does not have that integrity, then I can't work with them. And I feel really strongly about that because there's a telephone company that didn't treat me with integrity, and I refuse to do anything, any business. I will not pay 1 penny to that company ever, because of the way they treated me and because of the way they treat their other people, and just their whole systems are messed up. And so if they don't show integrity, I refuse to do business, or even like I would never partner with a company that didn't have that high integrity. And with dōTERRA, I keep looking and making sure that that integrity is still there. And it absolutely is 100%.
To the point where you shared with me that at a convention, which is an opportunity that people can go to once a year, they can go to Utah, they can actually talk to a lot of people who are behind the scenes and see things up front. And you took the time, right, to have a conversation with the head of our Bulgarian distillery there, right? That where the rose is grown. I think jasmine's grown there, maybe some rosemary, some other things.
Melissa, I think, comes from there too, I think, as well.
Yeah, so it's called Esoteric. Yeah. And tell me about that conversation, because that was interesting.
So I'm going to back it up just a hair, just because literally my intention for going to the convention that year was to try to find like cracks in dōTERRA as like in their integrity, right? Like, are they the company that they are projecting to be? Because I also work for another company that did that on paper, but the reality was something very different. And I didn't, you do it once, shame on you, do it twice, shame on me, right? Like, so I didn't want to get into a situation where I was going to then start to represent a company that I couldn't stand behind. So I heard them talk. I heard the head of the Bulgarian Esoteric talk on stage, and I was like, oh, okay. I was walking into one of the hotel marketplace areas, and I see him standing outside, and he was actually smoking a cigarette, which I thought was quite amusing. But anyway, so I caught him and I asked him, I said, listen, I really need to know, just from a complete neutral standpoint, is dōTERRA really helping your people? Like, are they doing the right things in the right way? Because if they weren't, then I needed to really know that in my heart. Right. And he said, listen, they have done their due diligence. They spent about 5 or 6 years in Bulgaria, even before they opened anything, before they, put pen to paper and signed any contracts. They took about 5 years to study what was going on in Bulgaria, to study the people, to study the climate, to study everything that they could about everything that they could in Bulgaria before they even made their first steps. So when they went to go sign their contracts and put up Esoteric and do all that stuff, they did it all in the right way. And the impact that they're having on the people in Bulgaria was, like he said, was he couldn't ask for anything better. And with his passion and with his heart, he told me everything that I needed to know about the way dōTERRA does business, where you cannot, I'll fight to prove you wrong if you tell me that dōTERRA does something in the wrong way, because I could not find one chink in the armor of dōTERRA that would show that they're not 100% truthful and honest in what they're putting out there.
Right. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
I applaud you for doing that, because it could
Right.
go either way. It's like, oh my gosh, I've just like
Yeah.
decided to invest in this company and now I gotta leave. That would
Well,
be,
right. Not only invest my health and my, my
yeah, well,
health, the
of
health of
course,
me,
everything.
the health, the money,
The
if I'm
time,
the time, all of those
right.
investments, I needed to make sure, because my responsibility is such a strong strength of mine, I
Yeah.
had to make sure that if I'm going to put the energy, time, and money into it, I need to make sure that we're doing good and we're really helping people in an authentic, responsible, ethical way. And we are. 100. There's nothing that will convince me, at least right now in this point, like there's nothing that would convince me otherwise,
Right. No, and I think that was such an important story, and thank you for sharing that, because I didn't even know about that. You and I have been friends for so long. I had no idea
Yeah.
that
Yep.
even that
Well,
even
and
happened.
right, and it's like like we always talk about one drop, one bottle, one person at a time. You
Right.
don't know the impact that one conversation has on one person. You can change your whole everything by one conversation.
Which is a perfect segue to sharing. So I
Yeah.
want to know what's behind your passion for sharing and helping other people, because you have such a beautiful dedication. And I know that you work in a really unique space. So maybe
Yeah.
you could tell everybody about what you're doing now, or if you want to talk about what you used to do, the floor is yours, whatever.
So yeah, I'll go into what I'm doing now only
Okay.
because that's really where my and that's my future of how I'm gonna infuse dōTERRA with my passion, right? Like
Perfect.
that's what we
Yeah.
all want, right? And I
Right.
remember, going back to our earlier conversation, I remember sitting in a convention and I was listening to one of the speakers. She was a nurse talking about dōTERRA, full-time nurse. She became a diamond because every time she was off the clock as a nurse, she was doing her dōTERRA business, right? Like, and she said, there's no way I'm going to quit nursing. There's no way I'm going to quit dōTERRA. So it's got to be joined hand in hand. And that really moved something in me. Like it really spoke to me. I'm like, well, how can I have that passion like she had for nursing, but what is that for me? And for a while I didn't know what that was, and now I do. So right now I'm working in the grief space, and I'm a somatic grief therapist. So what I'm doing is helping people get energy and vitality in their bodies, so that when your body is healthy, your brain is healthy, right?
Yeah.
And when your brain is healthy, then you can deal with all the mental and emotional stuff that you've got going on from the grief. If you're starting from a depleted place, doesn't matter how much mindset work you do, doesn't matter how much emotional work you do, you're still going to be tired and exhausted because you don't have the brain, the food in your brain to keep it going the way it is. I also work with mindset going down as well, because what we think affects how we feel in our body. So you kind of have to do both at the same time.
Okay.
Now, dōTERRA has been critical in my healing journey, especially with my own grief. I lost my sister in 1998. It's been 25 years. And bereaved siblings, they don't get enough. Their grief is not validated. Their grief is secondary to the grief of the parents, the grief of everybody else, right? So I'm really out there telling my story about my grief journey, but now I'm just strategizing on how to get people into dōTERRA through there, because I wouldn't be able to do half the things I am able to do in my own physical body without some of the dōTERRA products, right? Like, so it's that combination. I haven't quite found the right combination yet.
Yeah.
That in the next maybe 5 or 6 months, that's going to change. But, and so I've got some meetings to try to figure that out. But you need to make sure that you're really keeping your body at peak levels, so that this way you can deal with all the other stuff that comes along with it.
So right now, what products are you playing with, or what do you like, or what,
All right.
what?
Yep. So the ones that are an absolute must is, definitely the daily nutrient pack, or LLV, depending on, like, I go with the daily nutrient pack, especially because, we primarily need those multivitamins and minerals to keep ourselves functioning. Like, it just keeps everything functioning well. And then omegas for any, like, if you have emotional or mental issues, those omegas feed the brain like nothing that I've ever tried. Back in I think it was my mid-30s, I started to get these weird gaps where I couldn't remember words, and teaching yoga, it became difficult. Like, there were simple words and I'm like, oh, this is not good. And people would tell me, oh, it's because you're gonna be 40 soon. I'm like, no, this is not okay. This is not okay on any level. As soon as I started taking the omegas, dōTERRA's omegas, it disappeared.
Wow.
It disappeared. And actually, I did a cleanse 5 months ago where I decided to even cut out all of the supplements.
Yeah.
I could feel that brain fog starting to come back once I cut out those omegas. So there's no question in my mind, it's not a placebo effect. Like, it feeds the brain. And if we don't have that vitality in the body, everything else is more difficult. Everything else is more difficult.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
So what about oils? What oils do you like to play with on a daily basis?
So yeah, the big one is deep blue, right? Like, love the deep blue because, I'm running like 4 miles about 5 times a week. I'm doing some resistance training, lifting. So deep blue is absolutely a must. In the mornings, so I've cut out, not fully, but I cut out my cup of coffee in the morning.
Really?
Yep. And for me to do that is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Right. Because I used to work for a coffee company.
Yeah. I was gonna You're my coffee guy. What?
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So, and that's like really the importance of, like, cleansing. Like, and that's what, that's what really clicked it for me, is that Tracy and I, my wife and I, used to cleanse every 6 months.
Okay.
And we went for a long period, which we didn't cleanse at all, right? Like, we're like, all right, I probably maybe a little bit before the pandemic, and we're just like, nah. And then my coffee intake was increasing. This will be an answer to your guilty pleasure. My beer, I was drinking too much beer because that is one of my guilty pleasures, right? And so my alcohol consumption was going up too, like many people during the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
But then once
wine subscriptions.
Right. Yeah. And then, like, so then we did the cleanse, and I was like, oh shit. Oh my, that reminded me of how important it is to really clean out the body, and from food and from all of the processed stuff and that kind of stuff. So we did a whole foods cleanse, which was, it was mostly like salads and greens and roughage, and it just to flush everything out. And so really important. I'm a big fan of juice cleansing too. So we're actually in the spring, Tracy and I created a juice cleanse that we're going to then do like a kind of group juice cleanse, probably right. We like to do it around Easter, Passover. Like, we do it during Passover because the Passover foods are so, like, binding, like, so
how funny. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to do the first 2 nights of Passover, and then we'll probably do our cleanse, because then we'll just flush everything out. So LLV is critical, to make sure you're getting all of those vital nutrients. Let's see, what are the, I'm like, every once in a while have like a little injury. So the turmeric, the duo caps are magic in a bottle. I tweaked my knee one day running because I thought I could do trail running, which is very different than street running. And I twisted my knee, and I was like, shit, I'm going to be out for 6 months because joint, like, I took 3 days or 4 days of those duo caps twice a day. And within 4 days, I was back running. So like it worked that quickly. That oil botanical turmeric combo is ridiculous.
That's amazing. My gosh, that's amazing. I can't believe this. We have to wrap this up.
Oh, sorry.
I feel like we need like a part 2, 3, 4. I don't know. We have to do this again. There's so
yes,
much,
for sure.
there's so much to talk about. Before we switch to the 10 questions, is there any other things that you wanted to make sure that you shared?
I think I got a lot. Yeah, I think, yeah, just, don't be afraid to share with people. Don't be afraid to talk to people. People treat people like, just create the relationships with people because, like people are smart. They know what they need. Find a solution to what they need, and they'll either take it or not. And that's okay. Like if they decide not to, that's fine too. But, make sure you're sharing your solutions with people because if you don't, that one conversation could, you're missing out on that opportunity.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, you have literally affected thousands, if not tens of thousands of lives over the past few years with just your willingness to share something that you absolutely believe in, right? That you kick the tires on, that you can truthfully, honestly, openly, confidently say is something that you find helpful, right? That's all it is. Just people helping people.
Right. And even my work in the grief space was sparked by one conversation I had with one person at a conference. And right, like we had a conversation and she said, there's no bereaved sibling grief support anywhere in my area. The only time she could talk about her grief with people who understood was at the conference. So I said, well, why don't we do that online? Like, and that was what, not 2019. So 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been running this peer support group every week for the last 5 years or 4 years online. Yeah. And we've got 3 or 4 meetings a week that, and it's blossomed into one conversation, just sparked that idea in me. And, it's really changed the trajectory of my life and, and what I can give to people. So don't be afraid to have those conversations, right? Don't, because you're depriving not only yourself, but the other person too. So.
Absolutely. I love this. And please go ahead and reach out to Jason. Check out all the links in the description so you can learn more about his work. We only touched on the subject. There's just, so much.
Yes.
But we like to end the show. And by the way, I'm just so grateful that you came on the show. Thank you so much.
It's just so much fun.
This is amazing for me, and it was so much fun. But I like to end it a la what I call the actor's studio kind of format, where I have some 10 questions that I think are interesting and fun, and we're just one word answer, a little phrase. That's all.
Can you do it in the James Lipton?
Can I do it with the James Lipton voice? Unfortunately, I am not an actor. But I play one on YouTube. So here we go. Okay. Not necessarily an essential oil. What is your favorite smell?
I love the smell of freshly cut grass. So I guess technically it's grass and gasoline because usually that's the grass. But I like, that's a childhood smell that I absolutely love.
Love it. What smell do you hate?
Oh, liver. Like
cooking liver?
Cooked liver. Yeah. Like that's, just like that. Yeah. I like most smells, but when I think of that, I'm just, ugh.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
What brings you the greatest sense of peace?
I would say running, because that really, gets my heart going and it just allows my mind to wander a little bit. Yeah. So I would say running. Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. What irritates you the most?
Oh, so the feel of velour. I hate the ugh, like, and there's some couches, they have a microfiber that's very velour-esque.
Yeah.
And also turtlenecks really irritate me.
A
I can,
turtleneck.
like, yes, I
Not buy
cannot.
Jason a turtleneck for his birthday.
Do not buy me a velour turtleneck. Forget it. I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, I'm done. I'm
Oh my
done.
gosh.
Yes.
I love that. That's the best answer ever. What's your favorite character trait in a human being?
Yeah, honesty, I would say. Honesty.
Good.
Honesty and transparency, right?
Love it. It goes along with the responsibility. Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
We
And that's
already know this one, I think, but tell us your guilty pleasure.
it's beer. Yes.
Beer.
I love brewing it. I love drinking it. Yes. And I have to say, after that cleanse too, like, even like, I still like drinking it. Don't get me wrong. It's just a lot less frequent. A
Yeah,
lot
and
less frequent.
I do notice when you reduce alcohol consumption, like that first drink afterwards, it's like it hits you harder, right?
Oh yeah. I went out with some friends the other night. I'm like, ooh, I can't really hold this much
Right.
anymore. I become a very cheap date. So just so every one of you know, I'm a cheap date now.
There you go. Go out with Jason after a cleanse.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, one beer and
November.
I'm done. Yeah.
What's the last thing you'd like to eat before you die?
It's definitely tiramisu. I love tiramisu.
Okay.
I am a huge tiramisu fan.
Good choice.
Yep.
If you had a magic wand and you could eradicate any disease or illness, what would the first one be?
I would say, especially in the grief space and being in what's happening now, is suicide. Like, whatever is that cause for suicide, because it's just the numbers are just rising, and it concerns me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I gave you $500,
Yep.
you can only use it in one place, can't break it up, what would you do?
I definitely would buy a fitness tracker, a good fitness tracker. I need, because I definitely need one. I've been sort of looking, and even if you didn't give it to me, I'm still like sort of shopping for one. But I'll be like, that's what I would.
That's where it's going.
That's right where it's going. Yeah, because I really want to do, when I do get this new fitness tracker, I've been wanting to do like that, a clinical trial of the sleep system, because I want it to, I want to record my sleep without the Serenity sleep system, and then with it to see the difference of quality of sleep. And in fact, been holding my Serenity sleep products to try to wait for it. But then after leadership, I was like, shoot, I have to go and try it. And so the last couple of nights, I've been taking the capsules and doing the valerian stick. And I do have to say, I've only done it 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
And I really feel like I'm getting a deeper quality sleep.
That's remarkable, because it says it could take up to 60 or 90 days just to get your system,
Well, they said though that the tart cherry works immediately, works fast. So I think it may be the tart cherry, but it's the lavender that takes the fourth.
Oh, right. The lavender can take a long time.
The internal, right? So it's so that's why they put the tart cherry in there, so people get immediate results of that. So I think is what's happening. But
you're right. You remembered that lecture better than I did.
But the thing is I really still want to do that little trial. So once I get my fitness tracker, I'm going to stop taking it, and then see the numbers, and because I love looking at the numbers and seeing how it works on a physiological level. So
all right, that's awesome. And last but not least, what would you like to leave, one word that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Yeah, and it would have to be vitality. Vitality, right? That's definitely the word, in all areas: physical, emotional, and mental vitality.